Maybe it's not.
So
It's
are
not
we
happening.
alive on YouTube or whatever else?
No, it says it's propagating.
Oh, so we're not there yet.
Okay.
So we'll look like we really know what's up, and we're
Yeah, maybe.
oh
I'm
my
so
God.
tired today.
Are
you kidding me? So am I. Like, this is a
I love
week.
your hair,
This is a
Toby.
grueling little week.
Thank you.
Just
I feel like I feel like my
Hey,
hair.
you're live on Facebook.
Oh. Hi. What I was trying to say was, no, listen, it's a whole 1 second, people, was saying one thing. I feel like if I were a balding man, I would be like Sherman Hemsley because my hair grows on the side at some crazy level. So like whenever I go to get my hair cut, she's like, how did this happen? I'm like, I don't know. It's insane. Anyway, that was my experience. And I feel like I'm okay. My head's not big.
so
Hi, everybody.
we're here to greet you again. We have, of course, Bahia, and we have wonderful and amazing Ebony. And I am Dr. Joy, and this is all about us being the healing. And again, we this is part 2 of section 1 that Ebony introduced us to. I have had an incredible day today. I have been working with some amazing students and amazing folks that are working with students at a school for the last 2 days, and it's just been it's kind of renewed my hope in humanity. Because there were so many forward-thinking young women. It's an all-girls school, very, very powerful in the moment. Not asking good questions. Just it was a delight to be there because we got to talk about real things, and they wanted to talk about real things. Meanwhile, in the midst of all that, I'm going to highly recommend that people watch the documentary on Marian Anderson. Amazing story. Amazing story. And from that, I've gotten now four more slides that I've had to add to my already too long PowerPoint around how the Nazis actually utilized American Jim Crow to formulate the whole Nuremberg laws. And it just, actually, I'm sending it to Dr. Nichols to translate it for me because it's German.
That's right. He speaks German.
Right. So I sent it to Dr.
High German.
High German. That's right.
Wait, but this is one little thing I have to note. Okay. Someone on here said, there's a lot of people who are saying they're so excited, of course, Ebony, that you're going to be on here. Adriana Jennings, who said, Bahia, are you going to act right tonight? No promises. No promises.
How you act right?
Because last time I was guessing, and I was saying that I was surprised that some of the formulated sentences were coming from Lil Wayne, and they felt some kind of way about that. James. That's okay though. So no promises, Adriana. No promises.
Anyone that is joining us newly, yeah, it's pretty extemporaneous what we do. But again, the focus of this and the purpose of this has been to really engage community and engage specifically African-American community that's often left out of these conversations and need very much to be centered in what we're doing around healing as we move through this horrific time with COVID and all the different things happening in Texas, and people are just suffering, and we just want to reach out and let people know they're not by themselves. But we're going to continue our conversation with Ebony, which had to be cut short, so we can learn some more new things about Black history. Do you really know the truth?
Do you really know yourself?
If you didn't get the last one, I encourage you to go back and take the quiz that Ebony so beautifully put together for us around which Carter said it in terms of our Black history. We have Cynthia Barnes said hello to everybody. So hey, Cynthia, I'm trying to say hi to people who are popping in and saying hello to you. Some people just got their shirts today. So happy day. So yeah, no, Ebony is my cousin, and she is a brilliant woman.
And now an associate.
Of Joy to Group Publications.
That's right.
Now an associate. She's in here with us.
Educating people.
That's right. She's in there with us. Anyway, she does an amazing presentation. So I encourage you to go back and watch the first one if you didn't see it. But now, part 2. We're so excited.
So the first talk that I gave was for the Multnomah County Library. And at the end of that talk, I had a little true or false. And so what I want to do now, you guys were there for it. You, Bahia, and Joy. Look at, they're all ready to be here. No. You do know the answers to these questions. So I'm just gonna
say that and I don't.
Maybe we used to. We don't stay knowing.
Isn't even that okay? Look, how about this? I will tell you what the answers are right now.
No, don't do that.
No.
Okay.
We want to try.
Okay. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I won't put the questions up on screen because I know we need, people want to see what we look like. All right. So here's the first question. It's super easy. This is just review.
To you, it's super easy, Ebonee. I'm
All
smart
right,
in a certain amount of areas.
Put it on the screen. I think we should put it on the screen.
All right, here we go.
Well, the thing is, if they put it on the screen, they won't be able to see you, Dr. Joy's reaction to the question. They'll only see Ebonee telling you the story. They're going to want to see your reaction. See if it on your face, you know what it is. All right, let's go, Ebonee.
Here we go.
Here we go.
True or false, Dr. Woodson got his idea about the importance of culturally relevant material by teaching African children early in his career.
False.
False.
See, I knew you.
That's right.
Easy. Do you remember where he was?
Yeah, he was in the
Philippines.
Yeah, you see? He will. This is gonna be easy for you.
Oh, we have captions going on the Facebook Live. So they're getting your captions, Ebonee. They're getting they'll see the question when you talk.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah, captions.
That's okay.
All right, now I'm not getting. All right. Here's the next question. True or false? Dr. Woodson was able to convince Harvard of the importance of Negro history.
He was successful in convincing them?
Harvard University.
Not so sure.
I don't know about.
Oh, I'm gonna go with no. They don't seem to be too in touch with it now. But anyway, I'm just saying.
She says false.
I say false.
Yeah. Are you saying false also, Pia?
Yes.
That's correct. No, they laughed him to scorn. They said Negroes do not have a history. What are you talking about?
Right.
I thought that was hilarious. You don't have a history. You just showed up here right now.
Okay, there you go. You're right.
True or false, Carter G. Woodson thought that we should talk about Black history only during Black History Month.
False.
False.
Can you say anything more about that?
Well, I know that go ahead.
Because the original intent was to have students showcase what they learned it was Black History Week, and they were supposed to showcase what they learned in
the whole year, right? Over the course of the year.
During that week.
Yeah, exactly. Good job. See, you learned all this stuff last time.
Okay.
All right. You know that Miss Dr. Woodson was a very disciplined, and he's a very hard and a stern man. And he caught Langston Hughes playing cards when he was supposed to be working at the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History. Did he fire Langston Hughes? He caught him playing cards. He's supposed to be doing work. And here's Langston Hughes.
Say no.
I would say no. We're loving people. We don't do stuff like that.
Oh, Dr. Woodson was not loving like that.
He
he
could have fired him, but he didn't.
He did not fire him.
See, I know our people at the end. He was able to redeem himself.
Fire. And I was so scared when I was reading it because I was like, oh, Langston, I know how poor he was. He can't get fired. He can't.
Those people, you need this job, Langston. You need a job.
I was like, why can't you just do it? Don't you know you're famous poet?
Just do your job.
Get it done.
Yeah. Risk the job for some cards.
Yeah, it was crazy. Okay, last question. True or false? Carter G. Woodson could not get along with anyone, not even children.
Oh,
It sounds like true. It seems like he was a
think that's true.
disagreeable
He
man.
worked with the children in the Philippines.
Yeah.
He worked with them, so he could work with children.
Okay.
He was no joke, though. Let's don't get it twisted. He was no joke.
He was no joke. You are exactly right. He could, that's the one group of people he could get along with, was children.
Oh,
And
okay.
all of the
That's
children
kinda
in
how
his
I'm feeling
neighborhood
these days.
loved him. Yeah, they loved him.
I like the children.
Adults, on the other hand, including his mentees, were like, he's a hard man. He's a hard man.
And here's the thing, Ebonee, that struck me so much about your presentation is, Latif and I were talking about, people like Marian Anderson, people like Carter G. Woodson, people like W.E.B. These were brilliant and amazing people. Now we know the crazies we're dealing with right now, right? I mean, I'm just saying, we know, the crazy toothless wonders that are, there's no words for them. Can you imagine what they were dealing with? As bright as they were, as on task and brilliant, and they had to deal with people,
But you know what? I think it's interesting. I was talking to someone today who recently had to meet with my Aunt Iris, and they've known Iris for
her mother.
That's my cousin Ebonee's mother and the chief brain of the family, I would say. I will say though that they've interacted with her multiple times over the past several years, right? And the first few years they knew my mom, they felt the same thing, that they didn't like them, right? Because, and I said, I'm sure your mom feels some kind of way about me. And I said, I guarantee you, she feels no kind of way about you. Now, she felt the same way about my Aunt Iris until they actually had a conversation where, of course, you're not in a situation where you're having to, discuss something important, or you're not putting information out there. You're not trying to pass a bill, all these circumstances that we've been in. And she said, it was lovely to talk to her. I saw the connections between all of you. But it's so funny because when you think about the intensity of the work that we do and the intensity of the work that Carter G did, and in fact, the folks are doing, they're not playing. So it's like, I'm sure when they got to take that stuff down a little bit, they probably were a little bit different than when they were trying to get their business kind of taken care of. You know what I'm saying? So I can imagine why when those folks are like, these people are ignorant, I don't have the time to smile.
And again, not only were these folks brilliant, but they were dealing with the science, education, and history of the day that was suggesting that they were less than human, that they were unintelligent, that they were incapable. This was all in writing, the Negro problem, all of those things. And yet they were like, yeah, that's nonsense, and kept it moving. And so I have such great, and
we talked a little bit last time about the miseducation of the Negro, Dr. Woodson's seminal work. And his problem was he couldn't get Black people to believe that Negro history was important. So Black people were like, why should we study Negro history? I was like,
that's still a problem.
That's still a problem because
still an issue.
Everybody's miseducated.
Right.
And you have somebody was telling me about somebody Black recently that said something about, we don't need reparations. I don't even know who it is, but I can guarantee you that is a person that doesn't have any understanding of who and where we came from on a real level, other than the superficial. Yeah, we used to be slaves. Everything's fine now. That mentality.
We also have this thing. I was actually in a call today with some African-American men and a man who's from Africa also. And it was interesting because one of the African-American men was suggesting that we have this conflict with Africans, right? And I was saying, part of us saying that we have conflict is whiteness showing up. They have a conflict. I said, there is not a very huge understanding for Black people around their history and what they've gone through and how white supremacy has seeded every major policy, national policy, international, so when people come here, they're not going to be educated properly once they get here. So they don't understand. So it's a lack of understanding. And don't get me wrong, on the other side, you have African families who come here and kids are calling them African booty scratchers and you Black this. And so you have all of these dynamics that are all built and steeped in oppression and white supremacy. And if we continue to focus on, oh, what's wrong with us? What's wrong with us? We don't look at what the root cause is because we don't understand where it came from. And so then we're like, you're the problem. You're the problem.
Anybody wants to know, there's a film that was made. I happen to be interviewed in the film, but that's not why I'm recommending it. It's called Bound. And it's actually about the relationship and the perception that Africans have of, and I think a lot of that's changing now. And I think it's changing because there's more knowledge coming forth. There's more information. And again, we're not a monolith. We're unique folks with different perspectives and experiences. But the problem is we've all been miseducated. And consequently, America then, transported all of the ignorance to everybody else. So everybody's ignorant about it, right? So we have to really do, a total revision.
This is a perfect segue into what I wanted to do today, because last week or 2 weeks ago when I was on your program, there was someone who was like, well, do we still need Black History Month? Because Dr. Woodson had said that this was for the purpose of making it unnecessary, so that Black people would be included in the regular history books so that there would be no need for a Negro History Week or a Black History Month. And so the question becomes, why? Why do we need this? And I answered the question immediately when asked, because I feel like I know what Dr. Woodson would say. I feel like I know Woodson would say, oh yeah, we still need Black History Month. And so I wanted to try to share with people why my immediate response was, Dr. Woodson would still say we need a Black History Month. Let me go to the slides. Yeah, let's see. Oh, I don't have hosting powers.
Uh-oh. Who's trying to give her hosting powers?
Can I have some hosting powers, please?
Yes, so sorry.
That is a hidden person.
Slenda's our hidden figure.
She's our hidden figure.
She's got all kinds of
got
stuff.
All the powers.
We love us some cider, okay?
Okay, here we go.
We do.
This is by default. Nobody else is gonna help.
Whatever, Cider.
Whatever, you don't know.
The question is why.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe people have ideas about why. I think Dr. Woodson would say, yes, we still need Black History Month. I want to show you the next slide. This is a very famous image that many of you guys will know. This is a picture of the front of the offices, the headquarters of the NAACP in New York. And they hung this flag. A man was lynched yesterday outside of their building from 1920 until 1938.
Wow.
And so they felt that this statement would be true every day of those 18 years.
And it was.
And we know it was.
Did we take it down? Nope.
No, exactly. And so the only reason that they took it down, they didn't take it down because Black people stopped being lynched in 1938. Their landlord threatened to evict them unless they took it down. So that's why they took it down. Yeah, it wasn't because, oh, they were done. No, it was because they were going to lose their tenancy in the building. But that, for me, explains why Dr. Woodson was doing this work. He started the Association for the Study of Negro History and Life in 1926. Remember, the years of this flag being up were from 1920 to 38. He's directly trying to address this issue. He's trying to help Black people have the same footing as whites by giving us a history. And he felt if Black people had a history, then they couldn't be killed. It's not a cute little purpose for him so that African-American children can stand up and have pride. It's not that for him. For him, it's a matter of life and death. Yes, this is a matter of life and death for him.
Wow.
So I just want to make that. So here's what he said about that. Let's see if I can make this real small. If a race has no history, if it has no worthwhile tradition, it becomes a negligible factor in the thought of the world, and it stands in danger of being exterminated. He said this quote in 1933 in The Miseducation of the Negro. And the picture is 1944, Jews from Hungary entering Auschwitz. In 1933, Adolf Hitler comes to power. I don't know if he was thinking specifically about that, but I was like, yeah, I understand exactly what he means, what he's trying to do by creating Black history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, this is coincides what we were talking about earlier, Ebonee, in the book Less Than Human by John Livingston Smith, who basically talks about he talks about why we enslave, exterminate, and persecute people. And he talks about in this book that once you reduce someone's humanity, then you can literally eliminate them.
Right. That's he's trying. Yeah, exactly. I couldn't have said it better. I want to remind people, I don't want to traumatize people with these images. I could have chosen a number of horrible images, of course, of the Holocaust, but I didn't want to traumatize people. So this is 1944, and this camp will be liberated in 1945. So presumably some of these people may have survived. Sure. The next slide. I won't mention the person who said it. I think we all know who said this. The shithole countries that he's referring to, he was talking about people from Haiti and specifically about countries in Africa. So when I'm asked, do we still need a Black History Month? As long as important people are making quotes like this, yeah, of course we do. Of course we do. So for me, it was a given. Like I was like, yeah, this was 3 years ago. 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And again, this follows that same, that same history of constantly demonizing people, dehumanizing people. And you're seeing these patterns. We've watched them go along thousands of years of history. We've watched these are the steps to the eventual clash that leads to literally the genocide of entire groups of people. And here we are literally sitting, mining asteroids in space, sending folks to Mars, and we are still not seeing people's full humanity.
Correct.
And again, we take these things for granted. But these aren't just any people. These are people that enact laws that chew away, bite away at our civil rights every single day. And people don't believe it can happen, and it's happening.
It's not just them, though. It's also what I'm seeing here with a lot of the gang violence is that rhetoric and those beliefs end up completely being adopted by us. So then when you start seeing the intercultural genocide that's happening, the disregard, my son said, Mom, there are 13 and 12-year-olds with guns on TikTok kicking over memorial candles for kids that have been shot and killed. And he was like, they're like, another mark got taken today. Ha, ha, ha. Kicking over candles at memorial sites. And he's like, that's just evil. Like he was like, I understand the whole, but he was taking, the kind of glorifying of gang culture and music and all that. He kind of was like, oh, it's not that big a deal, Mom. And then when he saw that, he said, Mom, these kids don't have any souls. Like he was like, I have
any empathy. And
that's because they don't, no one values them. No one values them.
Perfect for this discussion. Thank you. It's like you just well, all right. So Bahia, you already said something about that goes with my next slide. You said it, and I'm gonna demonstrate it for you. This is the last slide, demonstrating the necessity of creating history so that people understand that African people are people.
Right.
The slide on the left is an art piece by a man named Dred Scott, and it is modeled after the flag that was flown on the NAACP
headquarters. Dred Scott, that's quite a name too.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but for me, I felt just like you did. I was like, Black people still being lynched. I don't see that we could take.
We never have taken the flag down. Never.
Still have it up right now. I mean, what happened to Eric Garner reminds me of a lynching in that he chokehold. And for what reason? What was the reason given for why he needed to be killed? And so for me, I'm like, well, that sign, it's perfect. I think that is very, very, very apt, and
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with it. And it could still be out on Fifth Avenue. I think the NAACP's offices were on Fifth Avenue.
Yep.
It could still be out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that is reason one. So to protect African people from being killed is the reason why we need a history. That's
Right.
reason number one for me. Reason number two is the one that you guys were just got on. And I don't know, I'll put it to you. What do you think I'm gonna say reason number two is?
Well, first I thought the reason number one is that we cannot be killed and we're seen as human and valuable people to not be exterminated by others. And I would say also now by us, by each other.
Okay.
You're muted, Joy. You muted yourself at some point. I don't know.
That's because I was eating an orange. I thought y'all
Okay.
did not know
Oh,
how
our
long
time is gone.
I've been in this seat all day. I'm becoming part of the chair. So listen, I'm doing the
Our
best.
time is gone, friends. It's almost 6 o'clock.
We go to 6:30.
You go to 6:30?
Oh my God.
It's almost 9 o'clock. So,
Yeah, we know we can't do anything with 30 minutes.
Oh my God.
come on.
We
So-
just got started. I was like, oh no.
You're good, Ev. You're good.
So I think, and I was talking to folks today about this, and that whole idea that if you don't know who you are, if you don't really fully know who you are, there's a statement, I actually make it in my book that I found in another book that says, if I am a molehill, then by God, there shall be no mountains. And so if I don't see myself as a person that has worth or value, then certainly you who look like me don't have any worth or value either. And
Right.
so I think that this whole idea of our history is so deeply entrenched with this sense of selfhood and this sense of intrinsic value that all human beings have. But at the same time, we have so many things interacting in our society. Someone was asking me about the impact of technology, Ruha's book around technology, and everyone looking at, are we better for this? And my concern is that we were becoming more and more disconnected with one another and disconnected with our own selves, right? Disconnected, trying to figure out how we fit in this monstrous world. And I thought you were going to say, Bahia, because Nas also talked about, and I was mentioning earlier that you can, when I grew up, you have a fight. Somebody bloodied your nose or knocked you down, tore your clothes or something. But it was over. It was over. The next day you go to school, it's over. But now it's never over. Now it's viral. Now it's everywhere. It's playing everywhere. And you relive your humiliation over and over again. And I look at these young folks and I'm going, why is it you cannot feel the wrongness in this? I'm not talking about, we know right and wrong, black and white. I'm talking about, why couldn't you feel your way there?
Well, it's also the speediness. There's not that pause where that comes in. I had there was a girl who tried to commit suicide at a program because she'd been bullied, cyber bullied, same type of thing. Somebody put something out there. I think it might've been a fight actually. And so they asked me to come and can you come do a training on bullying? And I was like, no, but I will come and do a training on empathy. And I'll come and do a training about building relationships, right? Because I'm not going to focus on the stuff that we don't want to continue to see, because it just keeps it with them. Like, yeah, that was terrible. Oh yeah, remember what happened? Did you see her get her butt kicked? Right. So I started to ask them, I said, I want you guys to think about something that you're really embarrassed about. Find that thing in your mind. When you have it in your mind, raise your hand, right? I said, now I want you to imagine that not only do I find out your secret, but I put it on the big screen in here so that anytime anybody walks in, they get to watch that over and over again, right? And they all looked, and I said, so one girl was like, I'll kill myself. I said, now again, she was laughing. I said, now again, you think that's funny, but even when you saying that, that's something that, one, it would be so hard for you to have to deal with that every day. And you might actually get to a point where you do want to do that. So if that doesn't happen, if we have the ability to not have all of our secrets, the things that we're so embarrassed about, put up on that huge screen, why are we doing it to everybody else? Right. And so then I was like, okay, so now we ask you this question, because they're all like looking around like, oh, And I said, here's the thing. I said, if we start to think about a day that your day could have been made better if somebody had just been nice to you. How many people you guys can think about that? They raise their hands. Can you guys think about a time that if you're coming to school, if one person had stuck up for you when somebody said something about you, how much better would your day have been? And so I said, so we have the power to make things better for other people. So why are we choosing to put them up on the screen? But the pause had to happen for them, not just, oh, because I got it, because my friend sent it to me, and I sent it to my other friend. And because it's just rapid fire, right? So they don't have a chance to sit with or process anything. And so we have to give them a pause. Like I had to give my children, after they experienced their own traumatic event, they wouldn't sit still. They would just kind of keep themselves busy. So I had the massage therapist come, and everybody was like, oh, look how bougie you are giving your kids massages. I was like, there's a strategy to this. So literally they had to be still for an hour. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't be on their phone. They literally had to be still, listen to her little music she had in the background, and give a massage. And that, of course, it was relaxing, but that stillness allowed them to come back, and they're like, hey, Mom, thank you, Mom. Can we watch a movie together? Can we watch a movie? They're like so relaxed. And we have to put that pause button, because the technology does not allow you to have those pauses, So I think that's part of it.
You guys you guys talked for a very long time, but but you did get the answer.
We tend to.
This is what we do. That's what we do.
You did get it. I mean, the purpose of I'm going to say creating Black history, because even though obviously Black history exists prior to Carter G. Woodson, he's the one who put it on the map. He's the one who's teaching the first courses. I mean, I didn't say so last time, but obviously if you have a Black Studies major, minor, Africana Studies major, minor, that's Carter G. Woodson. But I didn't say if you have East Asian Studies, if you have Latinx, Chicano Studies, into all those, he's going to claim all of it. Okay, so let's say you don't have that major or minor. I didn't realize it, but he started the Journal of African American History also. So when I was in school and I was writing my papers and I needed to know something about Black history, Carter G. Woodson is the one who gave me that information by starting the Journal of African American History. He made sure that I would have that paper. Like, I'm like in tears when I think about that. Like, he's not going to have me go off to Smith and not have resources, right? And so I'm like, wow, this man is super, super, super thoughtful about exactly what Black people were going to need. And you guys are spot on. I'm going to go back to my slide. And those with ambitions in the present will thus gain renewed vigor in their efforts to battle with present day obstacles and finally overcome in the struggle of life if they know about their history. You can be going through any kind of number of crazy crap, but if you know your history, oh, there are other people who have had it like me and worse, and they have succeeded. And that's the other thing that Carter G. Woodson is trying to share with us.
And how present is that right now? I mean, it's just so relevant.
Right.
Right. And, I made this talk. I usually in a non-COVID year, I would be visiting the kids in jail once a month. But I made this talk with that in mind. Those who have no record of what their forebears have accomplished lose the inspiration which comes from the teaching of biography and history. And you see him making this statement over and over again. He's doing this so that people can lift themselves up. This is the reason that you need to have a history. I think this is a quote, a famous quote that I'm giving everybody out there online a chance to chime in and answer who they think said this quote. Carter G. Woodson, Negro history opened my eyes about the empires before the Black slave was brought to the United States and the early Negro struggles for freedom. Who said it? I'll give you guys a couple seconds.
I know what it sounds like.
I'm waiting for I'm waiting for people in the chat. Saida, please check the YouTube and see if people are making comments on the YouTube.
I am wondering, I know what it sounds like. Can we see it again? Honestly, let's see it again. I want to see it again.
Okay, let's see the slide.
Opened my eyes about the empires before the Black slave was brought to the United States and the early Negro struggles for freedom.
Okay, so first of all, Adriana, talking about Bahia said it. You are funny. Let me say this. I didn't say that, and I wouldn't have said the Black slave because I believe Black people were enslaved. So there you go. Right, but I wouldn't have said Negro either. Okay, so someone suggested, was it Malcolm X?
That is who it is.
That's
All right. All right.
Be my guess. Yes.
Cynthia Barnes Slater, you get a hand clap on the black on the black hand side. There you go. The black hand side. All right.
Definitely Malcolm X, who discovers Carter G. Woodson's books while he's in prison. So, like, his transformation is happening as a result of reading these books. In the Malcolm X that we know is educated in Black history by some of the works that Carter G. Woodson wrote. And this is what he said: people don't realize how a man's whole life can be changed by one book. And of course, I mean, this should be everywhere.
I realize that. People say that to Dr. Joy all the time.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. They're like, I went back to school because of you, Dr. Joy. I stopped hating my mama because of you, Dr. Joy. You know, so I think.
Well, I'll tell you, like I said, I had the most intense experience. And there was a young woman actually recently in the last 2 days that made a statement that was really moving for me about her relationship with her dad as a result of my work. But I was in Unsafe Way. You guys know where Unsafe Way is. If you're Black and you're from Portland, you know where Unsafe Way.
What about Amistad Fred Meyer? There used to be Amistad Fred Meyer too. Do you remember that?
I remember Amistad Fred Meyer. But I was at Unsafe Way and I was in the parking lot.
You say, which one was that one?
Give us free Fred Meyer. Like,
yes, give us free. Give us free.
You're all right. You're not right. You're not right.
The one on Lombard. That was that. Remember back in the day, they didn't have water up in there.
I used to work there.
Amistad Fred Meyer. Okay.
I'm walking in the parking lot of Unsafe Way, and I am going to the car, and this woman comes over to me, and she has her son with her. And she comes, I don't know who she is, and she just starts hugging me. She hugs me and starts crying. And she said, you saved me and my son, you saved us. And he's over there, big hug all together. These are perfect strangers, right? And I'm listening to her. And really what happened was, believe it or not, she said, I told him I loved him. I told him I loved him. But I think it wasn't just that she told him that she loved him, but he felt her. He felt that love. And it changed the dynamic of their entire relationship. And, you know, and I wasn't there. I didn't have anything to do with that. I don't claim it. But I realized that, you know, sometimes just that moment of kindness, that moment of, you know, just looking outside yourself, you just never know whose life you can touch. So to me, that's the greatest gifts. That's the greatest reward of the work, is that people are healed.
And that's the best thing about doing a book, that's the transformative power. Now, I will say they're lucky they didn't come up and hug you from the back, because, you know, she is from South Central, and that could have been a bad situation.
Could have gone bad.
Well, Zakia Joyner said, Dr. Joy, you've inspired me to pursue a doctorate in social work after my MSW.
That's
so
right.
It's right there. It's right there.
It's right there.
The black hand side for you too, Mom. The black hand
That's
side.
Right.
All right.
I mean, everybody has the ability, if they know, I mean, the information is out there. If you can be exposed to it, it changes people. Hearing this information changes people, and it makes them want to know more. What other information have I missed? What other things did I not know about Black people? And so I just think, oh my goodness, not only does everybody owe a big debt to Carter G. Woodson, to all students and all people with the minor, all that, but Malcolm X. I mean, we don't even have a Malcolm X without a Carter G. Woodson.
We don't have a post-traumatic without Carter G. Woodson. We don't have Mom's book, because the idea of going through your history and understanding the impact is directly related. You have Jerome is on here. Hey, Jerome. And Jerome says, you saved a lot of people. They are, and he put in quotations, re-membered. So they're remembered in our community. I love that. That's a wonderful way to say that, you know?
girl.
So anyway, moving on. Go back to you, Ed.
I have a few more slides. I mean, I love the idea that history transforms. That's part of the transformative power of Malcolm X is that he was able to read when he was imprisoned. This is what he himself said about history. This is what he thought, why he thought it was important. Of all of our studies, history is best qualified to reward our research. And when you see that you've got problems, all you have to do is examine the historic method used all over the world by others who have problems similar to yours. And once you see how they got theirs straight, then you know how you can get yours straight. And that
like that.
you know, it's classic.
See how they got their get right, you can get right.
Right? So, I mean, it's classic Malcolm X.
Yes.
But, I mean, Malcolm X, I looked this up. Carter G. Woodson died in 1950. At that time, Malcolm X is still in jail. So he never gets to see the transformed Malcolm X, you know? Like, I'm like, wow, he doesn't get to see the fruit of his labor, but he could envision all of us, right? And that's why he was willing to make these very dire sacrifices. He chose not to marry. He could, it's not that he didn't have anybody that he could marry. He chose not to marry. And he put himself, I know it's crazy sacrifice. And he put himself on a very, very strict budget. And that was the money that he had for the week. And he didn't go over that budget. And he worked 18 hours a day. He, not only did he think that he was an intelligent man, but having been the son of enslaved people, he thought he could work harder than anybody else. And that was factually accurate. He could work harder. He was, when you talk, like, I think about this word constitution, he just was, you know, he just was fit. He knew he could outwork anybody. And so he, like, his mentee said, he cleaned the building. He, like, did the floors. He did the janitorial work. He wrote the articles. He wrote the books. He edited the articles that people sent him. He did the correspondence. He did absolutely everything that he could do in his 75 years. 18 hours
I
a day.
complained about sitting in the chair.
This is the thing. I get tired sitting here too. But you know what? I like the fact that you brought up the word constitution. Oh, hi, Malika. I just saw Malika is on here. Hi, Malika. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going in and out of the chat. I'm not always in there. But constitution. I always think about that word in general, but also the idea of what you're made of, right? And I remember I was and the same training I was doing with the girls, I said, okay, what if you ask somebody for a strawberry shake? I said, what's the best kind of shake? And they're like, the thick ones that you have to use a spoon. You can hardly get through the straw. They gave me all these pieces. And I'm like, what if you're like all excited about your big, thick, creamy milkshake, and then you get it to the counter and what you get is basically strawberry milk? They were like, eh. I said, right. You turn that upside down, it's all over the place. I said, but if you do that with that thick shake, it's the constitution of that shake is solid. You can't mess it with it too much. And they're like, yeah. I said, we want to be like that shake. You know, I said, and when you start to not kind of remember who you are and be kind of anchored in what you are, you have a weak constitution. I said, I have a strong constitution. And I've had people say all kinds of crazy madness about me to my face and behind my back. And but the reality is it doesn't shape or shift my constitution. And that's what he was doing. He was securing the constitution of Black history so that no matter how certain pieces get in there, we understand solidly, you know, who we are.
People tell me all sorts of things. That's like, that ain't nothing to me. You ain't. I was giving it
the Druidism right there.
Well, that's part of just the legacy of us being like,
right.
All right.
But look, you don't like us? If it works for you,
what can you do? Okay, I was minding my own business, okay? I was doing my own thing, and I had this talk to give at Powell's, and one of my colleagues came up to me and was like, why are you the expert? What was I supposed to say? What was I supposed to do?
I just am. I is what I is. I be who I be.
He was a hater.
He was a hater. Okay.
You gotta love the haters though. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing, Ebonee, and I realized this. The hate is really hurt. They're hurt that they can't be the expert. That's what that is. And it's like, how come I can't be the expert is what they're trying to say. Not how come you're the expert, but dang it, why can't I be the expert?
And you know, I have another theory. I really have you know, people will talk about that euphemism, you know, crabs in a barrel, you know, people. I really hate that euphemism anyway. But what I really believe, and I didn't get a chance to do this research on it when I was working on post-traumatic, but I wanted to take a look at that in a different way. Because what I have discovered, you know, I have had people, you know, say, yeah, you know, look at her. She got that house. She can't afford that house. You know, you have people just really hating on it. Yeah, I don't know. And then something happens to that person. They're the first person there taking care of what you need. You know, I got you. Because in reality, I believe I just don't want you to leave me. Mm-hmm. I think it's abandonment. I think people are fearful of being left. Not so much that you are growing, but are you going to leave me? Are you going to leave me? And I really, really believe that is at the center of a lot of what looks like that hate. It's not that I don't want you to do well. It's just I don't want you to
do well. Wait, do you remember the woman Kim Wayans, when she was that one lady and she was like, I love Miss Jenkins. Nobody better ever say nothing about Miss Jenkins. Miss Jenkins, good people. She do stink though. Remember you know, her breast stank. But she would be like, but I love me some Miss Jenkins. You better not say nothing about Miss Jenkins. You know, but it's the sense that, yeah, we love you, but like, you know, let me let you know.
You get the little side eye. We can get the side eye every now and then.
Oh my gosh.
We digress.
Okay, sorry.
I don't think we have digressed. I have one more slide. Well, I have a few more slides. Let me see if I can.
All right. Pull them in.
Go ahead on, Ed. We don't behave properly. Plus, we're tired and loopy. So
hey, that's every day, right?
Pretty much.
I love this slide. This is
what a beautiful picture.
I know, I love the picture. I didn't want to obscure any of them, so it's like in the middle of them. Those women with their baby. But these are Carter G. Woodson's words to us, and I want you to notice what he says. Do not wait until the last moment to prepare for Negro History Week. He's talking to Black people today. He knows who we are. The time is nigh at hand. Secure the necessary literature at once and begin to plan immediately to demonstrate to the community what you and your coworkers have learned about the Negro during the year. Then for free literature, this is why he had to sacrifice those. For free literature, write to Carter G. Woodson at his house. Okay?
Dang.
Okay, so when people talk bad about Carter G, I'm like, did he for free, he said, I will give you the information for free. And the whole point, like that whole paragraph sums it up. It's for your community. You do it all year.
That's right.
And you demonstrate it in this week. And do it now. Do it right now.
Time is nigh. The time is nigh.
It's amazing to me because when you think about the level of scholarship, the level of study, and you were saying last time that he asked if he could take his exams early at Harvard.
Yeah.
When most of us are going, can I get an extension? Okay. Can you give me an extension? And he was asking to take the test early, right? At Harvard, right? And given where he was and who he was, just the brilliance of this man and the love he had for his people.
That's right. That's what you see in that paragraph.
That he sacrificed his life in a real way.
But also so that you don't have to give it away for free. The other thing about that is, one, like for instance, there's a point where you say the sacrifices that you made means I don't have to make that sacrifice. He worked his whole life away. He worked his whole life away. He chose not to marry. He chose not to have, in some ways, the comforts and quality of life for the sacrifices of his people so that we can actually have some quality of life.
Right.
mom's work is on history. That's how she lives and it feeds herself. So the fact that she doesn't have to do that for free because she loves her people and work for the man and scrub the floors and you know what I'm saying? That is also because of his sacrifice that we're not saying you get to have everything that I have for free, you know.
He didn't want, it's not that he thought that Black people should just give everything away for free. It's just that he knew that in order to build that foundation, somebody was going to have to sacrifice. And he was best suited for it, having grown up the son of enslaved parents and worked in the coal mines. He worked in a coal mine. So he knew nobody was coming after him who could work harder.
I mean,
You think?
the coal mine.
He's from Virginia. So he worked in the coal mine.
Lord.
So he was like, oh, nobody can do this. And, even though some of his mentees were resentful, he didn't try to make them work as hard as he worked. So he would say, you have a family, you have to go home. You can't stay here all night. I don't have a family. So he understood. Yeah. So he understood at some level, like, I'm doing this so other people don't have to. What you're saying is correct. Right. Yeah. He knew, he understood. Okay, I'm going to sacrifice. But then in the future, people are not going to be like, ha, 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 Black history. People not going to laugh in the future. People will remember me, in 100 years' time.
And what I appreciate about this too is so often I was talking to some folks about this. And sometimes when we're talking about, I went through college to the point where, I want to poke my eyes out. I'm sitting in a room. I'm looking at the mouth moving on the professor and I'm going, just someone distract them so I can run something, because there is just no context. There's no connection to my life or reality. And that's so much of what happens to African-American people. We sit in these spaces and even the youth are like going, what does that have to do with me? They're waiting to hear that tidbit of connection and there is none. And they drone on and on and on. And you have a problem if you're not paying attention to this. And what I think that Carter G. Woodson did and what he demonstrated was the connection of things. So often, when I was going through my studies, I would just sit up in there and I'd go, are we even talking about people anymore? What is going on here? What is the point? What's the end game? For me to get an A on the test, it's like I looked at it and I kept thinking, I think education is food. It's food. It's food for your soul, for your heart, for your mind. And it's food for the community. And what he realizes, he was smart. He didn't have to do all that. There was any number of things this man could have done.
That's correct.
And he did do.
He did everything.
And he did it better than anybody else. But he didn't. He decided and he knew. This is when you start looking at future. What gets me about this, remember, I think when you all were both little, and I remember Iris and I, your mom, and Oscar, all of us talking and saying, let's deliberately create memories. And I took that on seriously as a parent. I was like, we have the power to create a good memory. You know how you and you're adult, you go, remember that time? It's like I looked at my kids, all the time when you guys would do the little plays and you'd have the little plaques and all of those different. I said, let's create.
That she made for us.
But it was a matter of creating memories that are going to inspire you later. Deliberately. I say that to anyone watching, anyone you're working with, if you're working with young people, anyone, create a memory. Because remember, it will be a memory, but not
one way or the other, it'll be a memory.
And deliberate, right?
But also you got to get out of your comfort zone too, because I know, like for me, like my mother, people don't always know this. She's an avid fisherwoman. Okay. Bahia is not. I am not a fisherwoman. I am good. I do not. I'll eat the fish. I'll fry it. I'm not interested in sitting around and catching it. This lady who is multiple times almost drowned because of her love for fishing, side note,
her sacrifice.
She wanted to take my kids on a fishing trip out in some mountain area. I was very scared. I went not because I wanted to go and experience fishing or camping, side note, but my children treasure the memory of camping with my uncle who's now passed and their cousin, who's now their adopted brother, and their aunt, and their grandmother on the water. Those memories, Nasir thinks about getting up at 5 a.m. with you and going fishing. It is a huge warming memory for him. It was a sacrifice on my part. I didn't have an air mattress, and I had a little natural broom thing to keep the nastiness out of my little space. But I sacrificed that, slept on the air mattress in the tent so that children could have those memories. And I think that's the other thing is we get into these moments where, especially with technology being what it is, we really need to find ways to connect our kids to nature, to connect them to their own histories. How do you think people got along? Learning how to do things, being makers, sewing on buttons, doing all kinds of things that they need to learn how to be able to do that. Again, yeah, what are you saying?
And I was going to say that, I was getting ready to grab the t-shirt, but we made a t-shirt, which is called My Brother Aaron's Fishing Adventure. Actually, you came up with the name Bahia. My Brother Aaron's Fishing Adventure. You did. Remember, I said, I don't know what to call it.
I don't remember.
So because I said My Brother Aaron's Fishing something, you said, no, it should be an adventure. And so what I started doing in the Bay Area is the one thing that I could do with my brother that we did together was fish. And he ended up with, he had muscular dystrophy, and it reached a point where he couldn't hold a pole anymore. But I created this event where I took children from the Bay Area, Oakland, fishing. We took them to one of those stocked ponds, Bodega Bay, and we caught a gazillion fish. We first started with the family, but there was a man, and I want to tell the story because it was so important. Some of the people, one guy, he was in jail. And so my friend actually went to his probation officer and said, please, can you give him a pass? He's always wanted to take his son fishing. And so that he was had an ankle bracelet. And so they gave him permission this day to go out. And some of these kids, you guys understand, they're on their, computers, got headphones on. I said, take that off, and they're going, they don't want to be there. Next thing you know, they're helping other people bait the thing. They'd never caught a fish. And if you could see these kids and this man, we have all these pictures with his son, and he had a massive heart attack the next day and died. And it was such an amazing moment for all of us, because my friend worked, Rocky worked hard to get him to be able to be there. And then I watched all of these children that started off as, Cole, I don't want to do this, all excited. And then my husband captured pictures of all the kids and did a slideshow while we were eating. And then members of the community, and we had someone come in, and my son comes in to cook the fish. And then we have folks that said, well, I'll bring dishes. And the next thing you know, the whole community was involved. But it all started with my nephew who had lost his father. And the one thing they did together that he loved so much, I said, we can keep this alive, but we can also give it to the community. So we have all these pictures of all these kids that, we would take fishing, and it was just an amazing experience. So it's like understanding that it's not always just about you. It's just not, and I know that how important, when you think of what the sacrifices of Carter G. Woodson, he looked at the future. This man looked at a future he would never see or know.
Correct.
And he impacted that future deliberately, consciously.
I'm going to devote my life so that in 2021, they can have this conversation.
And marvel at how hard I damn worked.
That's right. Man worked in the coal mine. Oh.
He was something else. He was a beast. I mean, his mentees were asked when he died, will you follow in his footsteps? And they were like, we can't. It would not be possible. I will devote as much time as I can, but I cannot emulate his example. No. It wasn't even that wasn't even a thought that they would be able to do that.
I'm curious about that. I'm curious about just how even people view the notion of sacrifice now. What does it mean for me to sacrifice in my work? I have a different experience than you all have. We raised you in a very different world, but there seems to be something that goes throughout our family that says, yeah, but you gotta do your part. You
Mhm.
got to contribute. And that notion, no matter what it is, even, you know, the little ones, everybody has to contribute, because this is how we become, well, a village. We become, you know, connected. And
Well, and my daughter, I always complained to her about all these YouTubers and the TikTok folks who make money doing nothing and having no talents, right? I'm like, oh, what? Naimi's like, oh, they got a new car. So what? They don't do anything, right? So she goes, oh, guess what? Today, she was very happy to tell me, do you know, Dear and Ken, her favorite little YouTube couple, they just purchased a large amount of land and they paid cash. And so they have no debt. And so now they have the opportunity to build wealth. And so I was like, okay, they got it doing nothing, but at least they're going to do something with it. They didn't just buy a whole bunch of cars and now they bought land. They're going to, and they don't have debt on that land and they're going to create on that land. I can't be mad at that. Right.
all
But
right.
you got to seed somewhere in there. Good. Ebony, do you have some last slides as we're at our end? Want to make sure you get to the last ones.
I like that ending about sacrifice and what sacrifices that we can make. We can also endow other people, even if it's a small amount, scholarships, $600-700. That meant a lot to me when I was in school.
Exactly.
Do that.
Yes.
I mean, and a lot of people have the ability to put up $1,000 scholarship for a Black student who's studying whatever. And so, I mean, people think that a sacrifice is, you know, 18 hours a day, but maybe it's just you put that $1,000 a year together for a Black student somewhere. So, I mean, I want to encourage that too, because we think, well, sacrifice, that means I got to get up at 6 and go to bed at 3. And there are other ways to sacrifice. I did have one last slide to share, and it's just a picture of Carter G. Woodson's house, the home office. And so it's this red building. It's got a plaque on the door. The car is directly in front of the offices of the Association for the Study of Negro History and Life. He lived on the top floor, on the 3rd floor, and the offices were on the 1st and 2nd floor, and it had a basement to store information. So that's the last image that I have for this.
Has it been restored in any way? Is that the current?
So when I first started this, I couldn't find a picture of the house online. So I wrote, again, that's what I had to write to the Library of Congress to ask them to send me the picture. That picture is online. The picture that you just saw is online. And it is being restored. It's a national, it's on the Register of National and Historic Places now. So
Nice.
Park Services.
It's a place I would want to visit.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
They can totally remodel it, I understand. So.
Well, this has been awesome, Ebony. You know, again, everybody has their lane and the things that they do. You know, Ebony is always been brilliant when it comes to finding ways to open up the doors of scholarship and education to small children, you know, younger children, teenagers, incarcerated youth. Yeah, I mean, she finds ways to open. Yeah, and the thing about it is that she finds ways to anchor the information to them culturally, making it relevant for them and personal for them. I'm very grateful to know that she's here, especially in this very, very white city where you don't have a lot of opportunities for that. I think that she is doing her part to beam light and love into our kids here. And so I'm super proud of you, Eb. I think she's awesome.
If you would like to hire her to come.
Oh, yes. And if you would like to pay money for her to come and do a presentation.
The whole thing.
She is now a part of Joy DeGruy Publications and Associates. And she does that. She offers that, especially now, considering that we are on Zoom. You can get her from all over the country.
That's right.
You know, not for free, but we will make that happen for you. And like I said, one of the things, the Be the Healing shirt, you see Dr. Joy is wearing it. Please, if you've bought any of these, the Joy DeGruy products, please post yourself. We have hats and stuff. Please post yourself in that and tag Dr. Joy DeGruy on Instagram or Facebook. I think that's it. Ebony, you have any parting words?
No, I hate it when you compliment me, but there's nothing I can do.
Nothing you can do about it. You just got to take it on in.
I just have to
Deny the post-traumatic. Deny the post-traumatic and go, thank you. Thank you, cousin. Thank you, cousin. I get to be the expert. I am actually. I am the expert. Oh, all right, everybody. Oh, wait, let me tell you. Renee said to you, thank you, Ebonee. So proud of you and appreciate all your efforts to educate us. Jerome said, got our second delivery today. So he ready to show up in his outfits. Everybody's saying they Tracy Thomas said she appreciated it. Mary Pearl said she got one. Elisa says, thanks to all three of you for absolute brilliance of mind and heart. Liz, hey, Liz. Liz said it was fabulous. Liz Dwyer. Let's see. B Jazz, I don't know who that is. Said, thank you, ladies. Allow pa. There you go. Allow pa to you. And Cynthia said, thank you, Dr. Joy and Dr. Bahia. And let's see. We got a lot of people who just said it was awesome. And thank you. Everybody's really, really appreciative. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. Please point this on for everybody else. And the last thing is, what is Ebonee? What are you saying? Sida's sending me stuff. Now she's saying don't pay attention to it. Okay, never mind. So, but just be sure to continue to watch Wellness Wednesdays and share these two, part 1 and part 2, maybe with your children. I'm going to have my kids kind of see if they can guess the Carter who said it. And see if you can try to, kind of honor Carter G. Woodson and all that we have to thank him for by spreading this information that she's giving you. But don't try to teach it because it's hers and it's not free. All right. Not with her slides that she put together so beautifully.
That's right.
All right.
Thank you all.
Bye,
be well, be happy, be safe.